8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news. Edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Indrani Senanayake. The headlines. The 76th Independence Day celebration will be conducted at the Golface Green in Colombo tomorrow under the theme Hadamu Aluth Ratak. Sri Lanka, Thailand to boost defence and security cooperation to curb transnational crimes. Electricity and petroleum supply again gazetted as essential services. Narcotics haul worth 100 million rupees seized by the STF. In foreign news, 7 arrested for passing information to the Mossad. The 76th Independence Day celebration will be conducted at the Golface Green in Colombo tomorrow under the theme Hadamu Aluth Ratak. The ceremony will be broadcast live on the Sinhala National Service, Velanda Sevaya, the City FM service, all Tamil services and the English service of the SLBC. It will begin at 8:30 am tomorrow. The Buddhist religious ceremony relevant to the national ceremony will be held at the Kollupitiya Polwatta Dharmakirtiya Rama Vihara tomorrow morning. The Hindu religious rites will be held at the Vajra Pillaya Kovil in Colombo 4. The Catholic service will be conducted at the All Saints Church in Colombo. Several religious ceremonies will be held tomorrow in many places. Over 700 inmates detained at prisons across the island will be released tomorrow in view of the 76th Independence Day of Sri Lanka, the Prisons Department said. Accordingly, a total of 754 prisoners, including 25 female inmates, are slated to receive a special presidential pardon. The Commissioner General of Excise has ordered the closure of all liquor shops in the island due to Independence Day. Police media spokesman Nihal says that a special traffic and security program will be implemented in line with the Independence Day celebration, which falls tomorrow. The special vehicular traffic plan will be implemented in the surrounding areas of Golface. The drivers who drive into the Colombo area are requested to pay attention in this regard. There are no restrictions for tourists who are staying in the hotels near the Golface Green to travel around. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, and we continue with local news. In a bilateral meeting held at the President's office, President Wickremesinghe and PM Thavisin reaffirmed the enduring and enriching relationship between Sri Lanka and Thailand, emphasizing centuries-old ties that transcended the formal establishment of diplomatic relations in 1955. President Wickremesinghe highlighted the long-standing, deep-rooted, cordial relations based on Theravada Buddhist linkages and robust cultural connections between the two nations. The leaders discussed Sri Lanka's new foreign policy approaches aimed at expanding relations with Southeast Asia and achieving deeper economic integration in the region. President Wickremesinghe expressed appreciation for the signing of the Sri Lanka-Thailand Free Trade Agreement, emphasizing its significance in the broader context of integrating with the ASEAN region economically. Sri Lanka aims to strengthen its export markets in ASEAN and welcomes major investments from the region. President Wickremesinghe highlighted the untapped potential for trade and investment between the two countries. Opportunities for Thai investments in luxury hotels in the Colombo port city and participation in the privatization of state-owned enterprises were discussed. The leaders emphasized the need for close defense and security cooperation, sharing information and intelligence to curb transnational crimes. President Wickremesinghe also proposed a memorandum of understanding on defense cooperation. President Ranil Wickremesinghe issued an extraordinary Gazette notification this evening declaring all services connected to the supply of electricity and the supply or distribution of petroleum products and fuel as essential public services. The Gazette has been issued by virtue of the powers vested in the President in terms of Section 2 of the Essential Public Services Act No. 61 of 1979. The new communique comes a month after the services related to electricity and petroleum were gazetted as essential to the life of the community. That ends the local segment of news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
INS Karanj, an Indian Navy submarine, arrived in the port of Colombo on Thursday ahead of Sri Lanka's 76th Independence Day celebrations tomorrow. On a two-day visit, the submarine was welcomed by the Sri Lanka Navy. The INS Karanj is 67.5 meters long with a crew of 53 under the commandeering of Commander Arun Ab, the Sri Lanka Navy said. INS Karanj will depart the island nation on Monday, symbolizing the strengthened maritime relations between India and Sri Lanka. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
We now take a look at Watchlight. Our correspondent says that the home garden cultivation in the Hambantota district for the Maha season has been unsuccessful. The necessary seeds and plants needed for cultivation have not been given to the farmers. Farmers living in villages in the district have requested the Minister of Agriculture to provide them with the necessary seeds and plants, and that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
The headlines: 7 arrested for passing information to the Mossad. UN sanctions Iranian officials over cyber attacks on water plants. Failed election candidate paid me to shoot officials, gunman says. Turkish security forces have arrested 7 people on suspicion of passing information to the Israeli intelligence service Mossad. Unnamed officials said the arrest came after a joint raid by police and officials from Turkey's MIT intelligence agency in Istanbul and the western city of Izmir. A month ago, 34 people with suspected Mossad links were charged with spying. Turkey's president has warned Israel of serious consequences if it targets Hamas members on Turkish soil. Turkey, unlike most Western countries and some Arab states, does not classify Hamas as a terrorist organization. The US has imposed sanctions on 6 officials in Iran's powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, which it says are responsible for the cyber attacks on American water plants late last year. This comes as the US prepares its response to the drone attack that killed 3 US soldiers in Jordan, close to the Syrian border on Sunday. The US has said an Iranian-backed militia group is responsible for that attack. The deliberate targeting of critical infrastructure by Iranian cyber actors is an unconscionable and dangerous act, said Brian Nelson. A man in the U.S. state of New Mexico has pleaded guilty to helping a defeated Republican candidate carry out drive-by shootings at the home of Democrats. The defendant says the candidate, Solomon Pena, hired him after failing to win a seat in the state legislature in November 2022. Over the following weeks, the residences of several Democratic officials were attacked in Albuquerque. Mr. Pena had denied the charges against him and is due to stand trial in June. The case comes amid fears over a rise in political violence in the U.S. To end this bulletin of world news, the headlines again. 7 arrested for passing information to the Mossad. U.S. sanctions Iranian officials over cyber attacks on water plants. Failed election candidate paid me to shoot officials, gunman says. That ends this bulletin of world news. We now take a look at development news. A special program will be implemented to develop the agricultural sector in the country during the next 4 years. The program will be initiated by the Ministry of Agriculture. 3,800 million rupees has been allocated under the aid from the World Bank. 1,500 million rupees will be spent for the development of the livestock sector. That came to you in development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Centuries from Angelo Matthews and Dinesh Chandimal consolidated Sri Lanka's strong position on day 2 of their one-off test against Afghanistan at the Sinhala Sports Club today. Sri Lanka started the day with a 118-run deficit but reached stumps on 410 for 6 and 212 runs ahead of the visiting team, who toiled through much of the day with little success. Such was the control and comfort Matthews enjoyed for a majority of his time at the crease in reaching his 16th century in the format that it took a freak dismissal to end the former Sri Lanka captain's innings of 141. In the final over of the day, Matthews swept hard at a poor delivery from Akis Ahmed, but hit the stumps on his follow-through to dislodge the bails. Together with Chandimal, Matthews ground out the Afghanistan bowlers through the second session of play, which went wicketless. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Ceylon Bank has introduced a solution to address the challenge of rising electricity bills in response to the pressing need for sustainable and cost-effective energy solutions. Ceylon Bank's solar loan facility will help its customers achieve financial independence and make sustainable choices for their energy needs. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
We now take a look at economic news. Minister of Fisheries Douglas Devananda says that measures may be taken to provide fewer concessions for fisher communities and to reduce the price of fishing gear and also stop the import of fish from overseas. That was economic news. And finally, we take a look at the weather report.
Weather report.
Showers will occur at times in the eastern and Uva provinces and in the Polonnaruwa and Matale districts. Several spells of showers may occur in the Anuradhapura and Hambantota districts. Showers or thundershows will occur at several places in the western, Sabaragama and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Galle and Matara districts after 2 p.m. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the central and Sabaragama provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts during the morning hours. To end tonight's news broadcast, headlines again. The 76th Independence Day celebration will be conducted at the Goldface Green in Colombo tomorrow under the theme Hadamu Alut Ratak. Sri Lanka, Thailand to boost defence and security cooperation to curb transnational crimes. Electricity and petroleum supply again gazetted as essential services. Narcotics haul worth 100 million rupees seized by the STF. In foreign news, 7 arrested for passing information to the Mossad. That ends this bulletin of news. The time reads a minute to 9 o'clock. This is Radio Sri Lanka.